I think now we all know that the kind of world we find ourselves is highly driven by technology. So it's important for us as business ladies, business leaders, entrepreneurs, and corporate women to get to understand the future of technology, especially artificial intelligence. So I'm happy we have someone from our very own network who is going to take us to, because for IT ladies, when it comes to work, they work. So she enjoys sleeping. She loves to travel, and then she loves to have family time. So, our dear Winifred, we are happy to have you. And I would leave you to take us to the next 45 minutes.
So thanks so much for having me. Good evening, everyone, for setting this up. And I'm looking forward to having a great conversation. To ask a lot of questions. This is a conversation. Let's channel have different perspectives of this artificial intelligence, and then and then we can begin to think about how I'm going to, kindly let me know if you can see my screen.
Yes, please, we can.
Okay, thank you. End of my video so that the feed will be clear. Okay, so we are going to look at artificial intelligence. Artificial intelligence, jobs and workers. So introduction of myself, I am Winifred Cotin, as Doc has mentioned, and my goal and vision and mission in life is to accelerate the goals, visions, and human progress in general using strategy, technology, transformation, capacity. And I work for enterprises, organizations, and professionals. My background is in computer science and then finance. And I started my career as a software engineer, went through different stages, including data transformation and strategy. And I previously worked in several banks, including GT Bank and Access Bank, and also co-founded a data and AI company called Superfleet Labs that provides different data and AI-related solutions in Africa, and also transitioning to actually work on a different venture called Eagle Innovations, which is really looking at tailored innovations for accelerated growth and impact. So I like this portion. This is our guilty or not guilty session. We can keep the answers to ourselves, or we can write in the chat. So guilty or not guilty? I think today I'm not guilty of this, but earlier in the week, yesterday, I was guilty of this. Are we responding? Let me see. Guilty, okay, and guilty, yes. These are normal things for us, but we shouldn't be doing this. Okay, so these are for the men, but we've been seeing them do this. I remember the first time I saw that, I thought it was so funny and unbelievable, given that the razor can actually cut you. And then what of this one? Guilty or not guilty? Those with toddlers. Some days I still have this. I have 2 children. They are older now, but once in a while, we have these days. So question is, can things be different? Can things be different? And typically what I showed happens to professionals and busy people who need to go to work, who need to focus on going to work, or busy schedules, meetings, but it happens that we need to juggle several things concurrently. So I'm going to share a video for us to just digest a few things briefly, then we can go straight into our session. Kindly let me know if you can see my screen.
Yes, please.
Back here in the United States, and we're gonna go for our first drive.
Is the audio coming through?
Oh, it is. With FSD
Okay.
4.1 and see if it's improved at all in the week since I've been gone. So let's go. We're gonna go on a short 11-minute drive to someone's house. So good, going around the cones there. Feeling very smooth. Got a pretty sharp turnaround here. You can see that the path prediction is nailing exactly how it needs to make this turn. Very smooth and comfortable feel, whereas in previous versions,
very scary to see. Because you'll be concerned about the safety features and all that. I mean, having sat in a car being driven by itself, that would be very scary. But I think over time, when we've gotten used to it, it will be fun. It will be fun. You get to do other things. Maybe when you go for a meeting, you have time to prepare. You can do everything that you need to do. So yeah, it will be scary at the beginning, but after a while that we've gotten used to it, we'll use in a period of time, we'll be fine with it. And
We'll be fine with it.
Yeah.
That's an excellent answer, Vivian. Thanks for that. Anyone else wants to share whether they would be okay with this?
Okay, Winnie, I'll say that as much as personally I would love, yes, to enjoy my drive, I would be quite skeptical about it. And although now we know it's quite, I think even in Ghana, 1 or 2 people are using it, but as to accepting it personally, I don't think I have. I'm still in the old mentality. Is it safe? You know, what if it's a machine? What if something happens and it turns me to the other side? So I would have that kind of doubt.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. And these are all very natural for our self-preservation. Would all in the West, in the States, there are even some parties fighting legally to prevent this thing from being mass produced. But there are also those who have actually adopted it. And the truth is that when it comes to things like this, the reason why I thought we should look at this video is because fundamentally technology innovations or the adoption of technology innovations such as artificial intelligence is driven by the need to solve frequent problems. So whenever we have problems that occur frequently to a large number of people in the population, then innovators would naturally think of, can this problem be solved? Is this the best or the most efficient ways of living? What can we do differently? Innovations get started. And fortunately for us, there are always people who are ready to be the guinea pigs, let's put it that way, in any of these innovations. And over time, they're able to bring confidence come true. I remember personally, the first time I was using the camera in a car for reverse, it was, I just couldn't trust it. My heart just kept beating. It's going to hit something. Am I sure? Is it giving me the right images? But over the years, I've become so comfortable. I don't even look at the mirrors anymore. If I sit in a car with the reverse, the camera for reverse, and I just adapt. It's very easy for me now. But initially, I was a bit skeptical. But then over time, it has become a normal process for me. And I'm sure those who have that kind of cars too, or you have to drive such cars too, that's it. And it's the same thing with artificial intelligence. Now it's a little bit scary. We hear a lot of it's going to take away jobs, it's going to be destructive, a lot of things are going to change, more negative news than positive. But I showed this because as human beings, usually when you are letting go of control in a way or drastic change in behavior, it is met with skepticism because we normally want to preserve what we know, okay? But when it comes to the world of work, the dynamics are different. And so I want us to think about these things from the world of work perspective and then from individual perspective. So in the world of work, work is really about value creation, where enterprises create value by solving market problems. So we are all in business, so we work in an enterprise where we are solving specific problems and then making money in the process. And through these activities, jobs are done. So jobs are defined based on the problems to be solved, and then workers or employment follow because there are jobs to be done. So for instance, if we needed to have a lot of online sessions, we needed to record, we needed to be able to do the various administrative work. If we had to do a lot of that, there's no way Doc or her team would be able to do it alone. They would need to find dedicated people who are in charge of this processes. And that's how jobs get created, because work must be done. What has happened is that technology and innovations have become a very big driver of work in general, or jobs to be done in the value creation process. So typically the value creation processes, as indicated to my right, involve when you create the value, what you do, whether it's a school, whether it's a financial service, or it's a product, it's, let's say, cream or TV or computers, you need to be able to communicate the value. You need to be able to distribute the value from the place of manufacturing or production, or whatever it is you have. You need to be able to get it into the hands of the customer. And then you also need to be able to collect your payments. And these, for me, serve as the 4 most important aspects of every business. And technology innovations have joined money and energy when it comes to pushing business to success. Without energy, we will not be here this evening. Without money to facilitate this process, because Zoom, for instance, these are all things that cost money. Without money to facilitate it, we will not be here. But this meeting could not have been possible because we are all sitting at different places at this moment. But our ability to do so is powered by technology and innovations this evening. So generally, technology innovations, which is the major AI falls under technology innovations in general, are new innovations, new ideas, or improvements in technology that bring about change in the way we live and work. And these innovations can be small or major. So for instance, artificial intelligence is a major innovation in tech. And there's a reason why businesses in general adapt technology innovation. So as human beings, we may be a little bit concerned, skeptical. Can we trust it? Can we not trust it? Is it safe for our use? But when it comes to businesses, the mindset for evaluating whether or not to adapt technology innovations is very different. And this is inherently from a characteristic of all tech innovations. So technology innovations have the ability to defy the constraints of time and matter. Okay, so, well, I am a science person, so forgive me, but time and matter is the main determinant of whether or not everything is successful at the end of the day. It takes time to get things done. So anything that reduces the time it takes becomes an advantage. And then we are constrained by matter. So for instance, to see someone who is living at Teshie, maybe someone is joining in this call from Teshie. I am sitting at, let's say, Dodowa. If we had wanted to meet, we will still have had to travel through time. We will still need to sit in a vehicle. So the matter component and the time component is a factor that would have affected our meeting today. However, with tech, we can define the constraints of time and matter. And this is the most fundamental reason why technology innovations get adapted. Examples is allowing us to communicate, perform concurrent tasks. So sometimes you have 3 or 4 people working on one document together. We're able to simulate virtual experiences. So for instance, if you use a digital banking service, it is a simulation of an actual tellering process, which happens in the banking hall. So everything we call digitalization means simulation of reality. We call it digitization, but in actual fact, what it is we are simulating a real experience, which would have happened within time and matter, but we digitize it, and then we're able to have that process virtually through digitization. And all of these things are powered by 4 main aspects of technology. If you take out the hardware, so we now have software engineering, digitization, automation, and artificial intelligence is the current growth where we've reached in technology innovations. Okay, sorry, I was misbehaving a bit. So I think in a way I've kind of mentioned these things. Businesses adapt these things to achieve speed, to be able to create and capture a lot more value. And then sometimes businesses do it to respond to customer needs. So if the market is changing, everyone is doing something, and you happen to be the odd one out, you'll be left behind. So enterprises and businesses also adapt to market needs. And sometimes it's even a regulator that is pushing you to do things in a particular way. I don't know those who heard the news this week. We saw those in Ghana, Fidelity Bank and then First National Bank is, I think, got sanctioned for FX reporting related issues. But when I was looking at the communique that was set out, one of the key issues was they didn't report on a particular technology platform they should have reported on, which gives central bank timely access to the operations of the bank. Have you seen? So you see that in this case, if you are a business or you are operating as a bank, it's the regulator which is forcing you to adapt a kind of technology and use it. And so businesses do these things not just because they want to, but sometimes it's because they must, especially in a regulated environment. And ultimately, time is money. So anything that allows you to conserve time, to capture more value in a short time, a business would go for it. Okay. So what is artificial intelligence? Artificial intelligence generally is the ability to teach a computer to act with some form of human-like intelligence to perform specific tasks. So the tasks are wide, but generally they fall into the category of communication or chatting. So you've seen ChatGPT, that's performing a chat or conversation, artificial intelligence powered task. There's recommendations. So when we watch YouTube videos, Facebook, TikTok, Netflix, all of those ones are recommender systems powered by AI, which recommends content for you. Then we also see artificial intelligence that is used for deciding. Some of the loan products we have in the market, especially those pushed by fintechs, the decision to offer a loan or not to offer a loan, or in other application areas, the decision aspect is done by AI. And then there's also the prediction part. So for instance, financial reporting has a lot of forecasting. In in things like maintenance related issues for manufacturing businesses, there's a lot of predictions required so that you know how to take precautionary actions to ensure your machinery performs. So prediction is a key need for a lot of true artificial intelligence. And I think we can all think about the various jobs we perform as professionals on a daily basis. And we can admit that at least they are do on a daily basis. Either we are conversing with our stakeholders, our colleagues, customers, but we are recommending a product or service, we are taking a decision, we are predicting some future needs of the business or the customer, or we are taking an action. So you see that directly, it means AI can do a lot of what we do now. Okay, please, there was a hand up.
Winifred, quickly, please, just a quick.
Okay, you talk.
I might go out of the session, but please let's join again with the same link. Thank you when it does.
Okay.
All right.
So Winifred, I was asking whether chatbots is the same as the chat GPT, or is it a higher version of?
It's the, so fundamentally they are all chats, but the AI that drives ChatGPT is a very high version of AI. Yes, so the AI can just do question and answer. So when you ask, in the typical chatbot that we used to know, when you ask a question, it has something called knowledge base. It will go and look through a set of information, and through that information, it will give you a response. So initially, that's how chatbots were done. But this current version of ChatGPT, let me see. Yes, so this current version of ChatGPT, what it has is that it has ability to think on the spot. So if you ask a question, instead of going to look at documents that would give it the information, it thinks and it produces an answer. So you see that when you ask me this question, I could give you the answer because I know that, oh, I even have slides that talks about it. I'm not going to flip. I could have spoken about this without coming to this slide, but you see, I've done two things at once. I've spoken about it. I've also come to content. Initially, the chat versions we had was referencing content only, but this current ChatGPT is able to understand language and think and give you an answer without referencing. Please, can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you, please.
All right, then, yes. So I was saying that the way this ChatGPT thing works is that it has learned. It has learned. So anytime you ask it a question, it references its memory and intelligence to give you an answer.
Wow.
And that's why it can be used for so many things. So what they did was that they took all the information that existed on the internet and then trained the AI on the information. So anytime you ask it a question, it has learned already. So it will just throw the answers out for you. So if you take something like a Google search, when you do a Google search, Google will go to the websites of all the websites that are available on the internet, and then it will pick the most relevant one for you. So what Google was doing was more of this one, recommending. So what the AI that powers Google is around recommendation. So it will say, okay, if you go and ask, if you ask Google, how can I lose weight? It will go and search all the websites that have weight loss content, and then look at keywords that are relevant or match exactly the question you ask. And then it will bring that information to the top of the search results. So that's how Google uses AI. It was using AI, but you see, that is a lot of technology. But what ChatGPT is doing is a lot more advanced, where it has learned the information already, and it will just give you the answer without giving you a list of resources for you to comb through yourself. It will just give you an answer straight, like you taught someone all that content at a go. And then it is also using the capacity or the ability to decide. So if you ask it a question, it's based on the question, it decides what is the most appropriate response. And then it is also using a lot more capabilities, like even predicting. So when it decides and it starts giving you an answer, it's able to predict that if I wrote to lose weight, first check your diet plan, then the next one you are likely to think about is how much exercise should I engage in. So it can predict that ahead of time, and then it will go and then provide you answers around weight, nutrition, exercise, and maybe consistency of whatever you see. So it's using almost all the capabilities of AI and providing that within a short time frame, which is something that hadn't been done before. Any questions?
No questions so far. Thank you.
Okay, all right then. So maybe let's just take one step back to look at how this whole AI thing works. So it works by data. So data, text, video, audio, like I mentioned, everything for ChatGPT, there isn't any data that has digitized content. So data is digitized content. We call anything we have digitized can be learned. An AI can learn anything you have digitized. And then it also uses a set of instructions, mathematical instructions called algorithms. So they are just like the way we do it. We have a recipe for cooking jollof. So if you want to cook jollof, this is the recipe, step 1, step 2, step 3. So these algorithms will take the data, and then based on the steps or the instructions, they process the data, and then they have something they build these instructions into something we call machine learning models. And these are what provides the intelligence. So the way we learn in our heads mentally, they've been able to study the human brain so much that they've been able to mimic some portions of how the human brain works, so that they are able to train machines to learn the way naturally our learning takes place as human beings. Okay, and the typical process is there must be a problem you want to solve for. So you get the data regarding that problem, you analyze it, you do your predictions, your insights, and then your actions, and then you have your solutions. So typically, for AI to be successful, we need a lot of data in addition to the technologies. Without the data, AI cannot be used. And then we need people, because all of these things are designed and created by people who know how to build these technologies and take advantage of the data we have digitized over the years. So the biggest change which has happened for us is this ability to learn, think, and chat. For us, that's the most advanced form of technology, because technology could do a lot of automation, do a lot of other tasks, but to learn, the ability to learn means there's no limit. So for instance, assuming today something happened and we had to go to the Philippines, maybe stay in the Philippines for 1 month for a course, and then the people of Philippines couldn't communicate well in English, and we had to stay there, it wouldn't be a problem, because all we needed to do is to start learning Philippines and their language, and then we'll be fine. Have you seen? That's how come human beings are able to adapt to so many things, because we have the ability to learn. We also have to communicate, and that's why we're able to engage and interact as human beings. So once we were able to train machines to do this key fundamental, that is the biggest fact. It has fundamentally changed, because now machines can do things only human beings could do in the past. All right, and I think I've kind of explained ChatGTP because of your question, Vivian, thanks. So we can quickly skip that. So we've used AI in the past a lot. We've used it for navigation systems. So if you take your Uber, Bolt, all those predictions, it tells you your car navigation systems. When you get lost, it will tell you, okay, it is recalculating the route, 10 left, 10 right. All of those things are artificial intelligence at play, because they learn the road. They use satellite images to understand the ground traffic, and they reroute your route to ensure that you can reach your destination at the end of the day. There's something I mentioned here. So there must be a problem for which the AI can solve for. So when you put in, I'm going to Makola in your map on your phone, you've now given it a problem. So then a lot of things will be combined to ensure you are taken to Makola specifically, to some street or some location you are putting. So there must always be a problem. Then the AI processors can now work together to deliver the results or a solution. Views, all weather predictions we've known since childhood has been powered by intelligence. So we look at the patterns of the historical weather data, and based on that, we can predict that, oh, it is going to be rainy, cloudy, even though sometimes they don't get it right, but a lot of the time they are able to get high accuracy in their predictions. Another thing that we've also used a lot, especially for women, is our menstrual apps. So if you've ever used any menstrual apps, it's powered by artificial intelligence, where they were looking at your historical flow to be able to say that, okay, if your history is like this, and this is the number of times it happens, or the number of wait period or whatever, you are likely to have your next fertility window like that, and all of that. So that is also powered by AI. Okay, any questions? Okay, then we can quickly look at AI and work. According to McKinsey's research, in by 2030, which is actually 7 years, will be shorter than this, 70% of organizations would have used at least one artificial intelligence technology. And for me, that is a very key thing, because at the end of the day, if 70% of organizations will be employing AI, it means the landscape of work is going to dynamically change. And these changes is going to be in two major areas: around decisions and then automation. So decisions that were taking a long time to happen, or we needed a lot more people in the room before a decision could have been made, we needed many people. Those decisions can be made by machines faster, without the long time it takes, and the number of meetings it takes. And then there would also be a lot of automation, meaning that some mundane processes will be no more be needed. So automatically job functions would have to change, and there will also be replacement of inefficient job roles that bring a lot of errors, especially generally because human beings get tired. There are limitations people have. So for instance, if I take myself, I can't do a lot of repetitive tasks on a continuous basis. Like if you wanted to, you remember when we were in school, for those who schooled in Ghana, sometimes the teachers will punish you and let you write the same thing over and over for a long time. Has anyone had that experience?
Oh, yes.
I will not talk in class. And if any of those things shaped or is not looking the same. They will say, go and write it all over. Why did our teachers do that? They did that because as human beings, repeating a task consistently, continually in the same manner is very hard. It's a very difficult thing for the brain to do. The muscles of the hand, the coordination is all very difficult. So it was a means of punishing us, okay? But all these punishments made us realize that there wasn't a need for human beings to do those things anyway. We can just create machines that can write without being tired. They can do the same kind of work, repeat it till you turn off their power. They don't get tired. They don't make mistakes. So in places where human error is prone, apparently human beings have certain weaknesses, we would use machines to do them so that human beings would be free from that kind of strenuous work. Okay, so let's look at effect on job and then the value creation process. Technology innovations are going to directly impact businesses in terms of new opportunities. That's the first place it will hit. What it means, what does new business opportunity mean? It means that if initially doing something was very difficult, so traditional businesses were not offering those that kind of value, because of artificial intelligence and technology innovations, those things are now going to be possible. I'll give an example. If you take mobile money, for those of us in Ghana, mobile money has caused the banking sector a lot of distress in different ways because they are using technology which banks don't have. They have, SIMs are in every phone. SIMs are very intelligent piece of hardware that you can program, that you can validate, that you can do KYC on. So, and you can do financial transactions on. And these SIMs are in the hands of millions of the population at a go. Unlike if you take typical bank accounts, how many people have bank accounts in the same bank? So even if you wanted to move funds, let's say maybe now, assuming Vivian wanted to give me a gift this evening, it's very, very hard for Vivian to take money from wherever she is, enter a vehicle and bring it. If she was going to use traditional banks, they still had to do a lot of operations work. But on the same real-time communication layer as a technology powered by telcos, they can easily add financial transactions and they will not have any issue. And by virtue of that, they've been able to take a lot of market opportunities from traditional banks. And then some have even seen a reduction in their revenues. And these are what technology innovations do. They create new opportunities that never existed. So existing traditional enterprises are not able to protect themselves enough. But here we will also talk about some of the strategies they can use. So that's assuming you're an executive or you're advising or you're in a leadership role, you can think of these things at meetings. So we've talked about the competitive threats. We've talked about obsolescence. We haven't talked about obsolescence. So obsolescence has to do with being outmoded or outdated. For instance, if people have experienced improvements, very delightful improvements, as customer experience is a delightful thing, there's no way they would like your service, which takes a longer time, or it doesn't give them the kind of enhanced experience they want. So naturally, you are going to become replaced by those who can offer better enhanced customer experiences. And then there's also loss of revenue because other competitors can now take portions of the markets you were serving. And then if customers choose not to come or reduce the number of activities they have with you, your revenue will reduce. And then there's also increased customer expectations. One of the major effects of AI, when I speak at events, people say, oh, this West, it's not going to happen to us. So I think we still have more time. And I tell them, actually, you don't. You don't, because the customers you serve are on TikTok. They are experiencing AI being used to deliver very highly personalized content they like. So when they come to your place of business, they expect you to give them the kind of service a TikTok will give them. They expect you to know what they want, to delight them. Have you seen? Because if TikTok videos are making people addicted, it's only because they're able to delight people. They know what you want and they recommend and they show to you what you like. And they're able to do it in a very short window. So you don't even get bored. Before you can think of getting bored, they've changed it and added a new video. But if I come and I'm repeating myself 20 times before someone can understand me, naturally, someone has trained me that I didn't even ask and they gave me what I needed. So if I have to tell you what I need each time, I'll call a new customer service person, repeat myself, and they may forget, they didn't write it down, they make mistakes. I am being trained to think that I can receive a microwave level kind of service. So it means you not being able to give me that, I will start getting frustrated. And that's how these things creep in on us without us necessarily being in those environments. Once we are in a global world, when someone consumes an efficient service, naturally they think yours should be like that too. Okay, I think I've seen some questions, so we would answer them when we get to the question. Okay, so how AI is going to level the playing field for everyone. So anyone who has a business idea can start too, and can start in a faster way than traditionally what's used to happen. And that is another danger for existing enterprises. Then there are some ways companies would respond to artificial intelligence. And this is one of the things that we can also take on. And then when we are in meetings, we can bring them up. First is to embrace AI for improved businesses. Implement AI solutions where it is possible. So places where we need to do decision-making, predict, recommend, these are all places that we can adapt artificial intelligence. And then we can take advantage of data. We've been digitizing for a while, so we all have, a lot of businesses have data sitting with them. We can start looking at how data can be used through artificial intelligence to improve the customer service, to reduce the wait time, to offer new services that we couldn't do before, and to create new value. And then another thing that's what happened is that some businesses will start to think of helping their workforce, their employees learn some of this artificial intelligence capabilities so that they can deliver a lot more value for their business. Unfortunately, some may also lay off employees because some of the roles that were being performed by those employees will be automated or would even become outdated. And they are likely to employ new people who are technology savvy and can use these new emerging technologies to improve and increase value for their business. They would also collaborate a lot with AI startups so that what they can do internally, they can get from those businesses. Recently, I've seen Visa, that is the payments company we've known. They are buying a lot of AI-related startups. Even they are a technology company, but they are still buying these AI startups to integrate them into their own services because the speed that the AI startups have, they as a traditional business are not able to match. So in that case, the best is to buy them and integrate them. And then they would also be overcoming challenges using innovation. So innovations is going to become a big thing because at the end of the day, if you're not innovating, you would have to die, unfortunately. And then they'll be embracing regulatory and compliance demands. Like I gave the example of First National Bank and Fidelity Bank. This is almost the last. So what would be the effects on workers? Are the robots coming to take our jobs? This is a common question. Well, what would happen is that a lot of job automations would happen. There'll be transformation in jobs. That is, the way we do work would change. The skills requirements would also change. So meaning we'll have to do a lot of reskilling and upskilling. So we all have to be prepared to learn and to learn a lot. And there'll be a lot of new jobs that will be created, which never existed before. So meaning we need to be able to adapt and take on new opportunities that are emerging. There will also be a lot of human AI collaborations where AI will do some portions of the work and then we would also do the other portions. Markets and industries will be disrupted because there'll be new actors, new players, new things that wasn't possible would happen. And some industries would virtually become obsolescent or redundant. We may not need the services they were churning out. There'll be shift in job demands. So maybe there were some tasks we used to do at work, but they will no more be required of us. There are also ethical considerations. I think the questions has to do with ethical considerations. What is right? What is permissive for AI? What shouldn't be permitted? How are we ensuring that AI is not negatively affecting us as human beings? And then there's also going to be career mobility. And so when I talk about career mobility, what I mean is that you can actually migrate your expertise as a professional from one industry to another with ease. So if you take something like mobile money, now the telcos have financial services capacity. So if you were working in the bank, you can easily get a job in a telco. Hitherto, you couldn't, but because they've embedded banking in a way in their services, someone who was initially in banking can easily find a job in telco. So this is going to happen a lot because the new industries and new services that are coming up, they are going to need people with existing professional experiences and expertise. So if you are open to move from one industry to the other, you can easily move. And you can also even move across geographies. So you find people working remotely. That's all possible because they are able to adapt to these changes. There will be a lot of gig economy, which is flexible work. And that is because companies may not necessarily maintain the same number of people like they did before. If they are using a lot of automation, they may just have a few people and then they'll have a lot of flexible work where they have people come in and work as consultants when they need instead of having retained people. So that's going to also cause a lot of shift in some industries. And then we would all have to be learning and reskilling on a consistent basis. We would also need to learn how to do a lot more remote work, virtual collaborations, and learn to engage with these machines because they've come to stay. And like I mentioned, enterprises are going to adapt them because it saves time and money. And then there'll be shift in jobs and there'll be a lot of emerging industries. But on the whole, the way we are socialized would also be impacted because we now have a lot of AI infused in the tools and the services we use. So like TikTok, as I mentioned, if you happen to live a lot of your life on TikTok or YouTube or Oprah, I see that a lot of apps, phones have Oprah News. You are being impacted socially because they use AI to recommend content for you. So if you wake up in the morning and you always go to Oprah kind of content, so your view or your perception of your day and all of those things, assuming is influenced by news, AI is letting your perception for the day be controlled in a particular manner. So I personally, I don't do news. I don't even do any AI-powered content except intentionally. So intentionally, if I go, let's say to Netflix, I'm looking for something specific. If I go to YouTube, I'm looking for something specific. And over time, the AI is able to deliver content I like, and I keep choosing to me. I don't allow them to have free range. So I don't go and then they recommend something and I start to watch, because whenever you do that, you are teaching the AI that you like this. and it is what it will start feeding you content without your control, especially when you have children. You need to be very careful, especially when they use AI-powered content platforms like YouTube, like TikTok, Instagram, and the rest, because at the end of the day, the AI doesn't have morality of a parent. They don't have anything to stop them from recommending content. All they know is that you liked it, you watched it, you clicked on it. They even used how long you stay on a video as part of recommending more content to you. So socially, we are also all going to be impacted by this AI. So how can workers respond? Last slide, we need to learn new skills. We need to add a lot more technology professional courses and skills to our expertise. And then we need to be ready to try other professions, assuming those we had are no more relevant. We need to be open to embrace new opportunities. And then sometimes if the opportunities are even out of your jurisdiction, if you are okay with the time, you can embrace it as well. Okay. Questions, please. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Winifred, for the wonderful presentation. I think we have some questions in the box, so we'll open up for question time due to I think we've gone beyond our time a bit. So please let the questions flow, and then Winifred can answer our questions for us. And then I think we have 2 questions so far in the chat. Thank you.
Okay, so let me quickly read. So the first question is, what are the extra security measures around AI such that when it goes into the wrong hands, it will not cause more damage to people? That's a very interesting question and a very good question. So unfortunately, AI is powered by industry and academia. So those who are leading AI are not regulators as now. Regulators are yet to come in. So usually when the regulators come through, that's when you have the security measures in place. But just to reassure everyone, all potent power in the world has always been regulated. So if we take something like...
Just a second. Please, Adam and someone else, I think you are unmuted, so we can hear you. Kindly mute yourselves for us. Thank you.
Okay. All right. So I think I've muted them. All right. Thank you. Yeah. So I'll say that.
Can you please mute another one? I think. Yeah.
Okay. So I've muted all.
Thank you.
All right. So I was saying that everything that is potent in the world has always been regulated. So if we take something like nuclear energy, it's highly potent, it's regulated. If we take medicine, it's medicine as a practice, it is regulated. If you take chemistry, which is medicine like pharmacy, is also regulated. So they even write dosage, you can take this, don't take more than this. And even there's pharmaceuticals you can't even buy on the counter, over the counter. Okay, so definitely given the potency of AI, it will certainly be regulated to be sure that it doesn't fall into the wrong hands, or the damage is managed much better. On the question around careers we should start focusing on in the area of technology, what I would advise is that so I also do technology career counseling. What is the truth about technology career is so broad and huge that it is very difficult to specify which ones one should focus on. And the reason is that because it's a highly intellectual skill, if you make a choice which doesn't sit well with you in terms of your intellectual capacity to perform it, it's very draining and tasking. So one of the interesting things I like to say is that you remember when we were in school and we took courses that were difficult for us. I think we've all had one of those courses whilst we were having our secondary school or degree or master's or PhD or whatever. what you hoped for was at the end of the term, that nightmare will be over. So you would learn, you do everything, you would repeat it, your friends will do group studies with you so that you can pass. It doesn't work like that for life. If you take on something which is inherently difficult for you at work, you'll be expected to apply it. So normally it's easier for you to look at the spectrum of options, which of them do I excel in? And it's also in demand. Fortunately, there are hundreds, thousands of options. So some of the popular ones can be data science, artificial intelligence, engineering, and software engineering. Those are some of the popular ones that are used in AI, but there's also a lot of things around content creation. So digital content creating capabilities, there's user interface design, where the engagement with the user is designed by people who have great empathy skills, people who can put themselves in the shoes of the end user or the customer, so that they're able to design products and services that are not cumbersome, that are not difficult. But traditionally, or some people naturally have ability to do that because they are very empathetic and they can put themselves in the shoes of people. So someone like that may not necessarily be an AI engineer, because what is required for AI engineering is very different from what is required for user experience engineering, but they are all in the category of software engineering. So at the end of the day, it is what you are good at naturally, what your previous training has given you an advantage over, and then what the market opportunities are that we use to do career counseling. Because for me, my objective has always been people shouldn't struggle at work. It shouldn't be that when you're going to work, your heart is beating like we had it in school. Work should be the place where you thrive, where you are happy to go in on a daily basis. Unfortunately, the spectrum is wide, so we can choose what works for us best. Please, questions? I think, let me see, there are some hands raised. You can unmute yourself.
Okay. Winifred, I wanted to ask, what are the costs? The costs for small businesses who want to adopt the AI? They need the costs. Is it an easy? Will it be the initial cost for doing that? Will it be easy for a small business? Because right now we're talking about ourselves as professionals, maybe wanting change jobs and all that. But there are some people who have businesses, they have small businesses, they are starting to, groom, target customers and all that. So for a small business that's a startup, how difficult in terms of cost will it be to adopt AI technology to drive your business?
Okay, that's a very good question. And the cost depends on what you are solving for. So I think if we remember this diagram, so for a small business, what is your problem and what solution are we looking at? Do we already have the data? Have we digitized? If we don't have the data, does someone have the data that we can take, we go into partnership with so that we can use their data? All of these things are the determinants of cost for artificial intelligence adoption at the end of the day, and what technologies are required. So if your needs are very advanced or the problem you want to solve are very advanced, you may need a lot more tech capacity, and that can be a lot more costly. So one of the things I do for my consulting is to do technology strategy, where we look at how we can effectively adapt whatever technology we want. If it's AI, if it is digitization, if it is automation, we look at how we can adapt it in a way that is to our utmost advantage in terms of strategic growth. Because at the end of the day, we want to be able to achieve revenue growth. We want to be able to increase the customer customers we serve. We want to be able to retain customers. And then we want to be able to scale our business. So let's say if we were serving only people in Accra or Ghana, we want to be able to take it regional. Now there's after, if we want to take our business regional, how do we do that with technology? So when I consult, I usually look at what the strategy, what the goal is for the business owner. That is the number one thing I look at. So first is your vision, your goal, and then we now look at which strategy we need to adapt, and then which technology innovation is required, and then what capacity we need to build. So we would be able to tell how much money is required, because for some of them, the impact we are going to make or the revenue we realize from the market is huge. So we may need to get people with capital to push us so that we can harness the opportunity at scale. But if we don't, our vision or our goals are not maybe that's grand, we may not need a lot of advanced technologies or a lot of.
And personally, I needed to ask a question, Winnie. So
Yeah.
I was asking that with regards to, there was this thing I saw with artificial intelligence robot or whatever, who is now married to a human being. And I'm asking myself that, I don't know, you've not seen it, eh? I saw it on.
I won't be surprised, honestly.
I saw it just about a few weeks ago. I don't think I remember where I saw it, but it's like a lady is married to, I think the I don't know how they do it, but it's like the robot is not yet, the robot is not yet, it's like they are now assembling the robots. I don't know. So that's how I saw it. It's like the thing is not yet in existence, but it's being molded for the lady to marry. I think the lady is actually somebody in technology.
Wow. And that's what she wants.
Yeah, she wants to marry the thing she's molded. And I'm like, this thing, does it have PP? What can this thing, can it kiss you? Can it, I mean, I was asking myself these questions. Can it hug you? Maybe it can hug her and all that. But I'm asking myself some key questions that, as much as artificial intelligence is good, it's going to be good. I mean, definitely there are advantages and disadvantages. But the huge, I don't know if I should call it side effects or the negative impact. I mean, sometimes I think through it, just like we are seeing with social media, just with social media. As for the question of whether it is something that has to be done, or unfortunately, I think it is something that we have to live with. That is what is going to happen.
Yeah.
It's happening, and very soon I'm sure we'll be seeing it all over. You go to a bank, and I shared an experience I had in Dubai. I went to Dubai hospital.
Okay.
And there was what do you call it? It's like the welcome, like the robot welcoming you.
Oh, okay. Wow.
The robot was also serving me water. So there was water trolley, yes. And the robot was talking. Do you need some? Do you need some water? Do you need some? It was really interesting. I think I took some videos of it, but I don't have it on my. When I find it was really interesting. So these are some of the things that are good, but also the side effects, maybe lighten a bit on the huge side effects. Thank you.
Yeah, that's true. In fact, the side effects are enormous. Like I said, the social impacts and all of those things. At the end of the day, the regulators would regulate the degree of usage and then acceptable use. That's what will happen. So what I suspect would happen is that just like all other potent things, like I mentioned, like nuclear energy, like chemicals, there's going to be a regulation around what it can be used for and how much of usage that the society is permitted to have. So, but it doesn't mean people will not secretly use it for other purposes. They would, for instance, in the military, for instance, they've been using advanced technologies for a long time, which is not in the public domain. So these things will naturally happen, but the question is more around how we take advantage of it and protect ourselves against it. Personally, that's what I would say. So if you know that you're consuming a lot of recommended content, you just know that it is a robot that is feeding you the recommended content. So for instance, in the past, for newspapers, media companies, they had editors who would think through and say this content is good for consumption or not. Okay, but with robots, with AI, there's no editor sitting at YouTube or Opera Mini or Opera News or Facebook or TikTok. There's no editor there. The robots, the AI just decide, I feed content based on whether or not the person likes it. If the person likes it, watches it for, let's say, 5 minutes, it means it's good. If more people watch it for 5 minutes, then I should recommend it to anybody, especially in a region. One of the things I don't like about this AI content is that they use the geography of a place to recommend the content. So let's say if there are a lot of Ghanaians watching some content that they call trending content, anyone who is in Ghana who is not deliberate on what you choose to watch, they will feed you that content. For me, those are the ones that I'm even more concerned about, even more than the absurd things like someone marrying the AI, the robots. It's about the fact that if you choose to go online today, if a lot of people in your population watch stupid things, the AI would give you content that is stupid. Personally, that's for me one of the biggest risks, especially when you have younger children. You need to be mindful about.
Thank you so much, Winnie. Thank you very much. Are there any further questions, please?
I don't think so.
Okay. So for the sake of those who I wanted to actually benefit, I wanted us to have, but I'm sure I would post it on another page that I can get the people who joined who are not on WISE. Yes.
Okay.
I would like to say a very big thank you, Winifred. It's been amazing sharing these insights with us, and we really appreciate. I'm sure the world is moving very fast, and we all have to move with what is happening, but in a positive way. So thank you for the insights, and like you've shared with us, some of us who are interested in knowing the kind of career that we should add to what we already have, we would contact you, and then we'll take it to the next level so that we can all be prepared for the world ahead of us. Thank you so much, Winifred.
Thank you for having me.
You're welcome.
Okay.
And I'd like to thank all the ones who joined us. Thank you so much. Hope to see you again at the end of the month of July. Stay blessed and have a good weekend. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye, dear.